are now tuned into the order.
Welcome to the new Wabu Order podcast. And I go by the name of Wabu. Today I got a special guest with me. Special guest with me. Brother Aseer Duke of Tiers.
Hey.
How you doing, good brother? Islam.
I'm good, brother. Islam. How are you, my friend? Happy Holy Day.
I don't know if you can see you.
Indeed.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you, good brother.
Okay, cool. It's just fine. As long as you can see me.
Yeah, definitely.
Islam.
It's nice to be able to look into what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we straight. Everything right.
Thank you, man.
All right, good brother.
Peace, bro. How you been, man?
I'm living, brother. You know, life got hit with some bad news today, but the show must go on.
Praise Allah. Well, I pray everything works out. Especially during this apocalypse, you know how it is.
Definitely. And it's you much needed, especially for my peers and my listening audience, to know about you. And I've been telling them that I was gonna have you on the show for a while. So it's great that I have you on the show. And let them know, let the people know about Aseer. What is he about? For the people that don't know.
Thanks for asking, man. I've been researching. Thank you, Queen. I've been researching and doing things pertaining to our culture, history, things like that for a long time. You know what I mean? But yes. I should say, however, like a lot of people, as I was accumulating that, I was also experiencing that as well. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So unlike a lot of other people, well, I can't really speak for nobody else, but for me, in acquiring what people perceive as consciousness, I came across a lot of different ideas, you know what I'm saying, which became ideologies, right? And then a lot of those ideologies became ideologues, you know what I'm saying? Meaning these people became literal walking sock puppets for whatever the agenda that they were studying was. And so me, I was an avid reader, you know what I'm saying, coming up. Yeah. However, like a lot of our brothers and sisters, especially brothers, I didn't like reading in school though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I was the type to like cut and then go to the library. Like I was with that because I was coming up around the time of like the Nation of Gods and Earths and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So information was like real big with them. So you couldn't just go to the park in Brownsville or go to Fort Greene Park where they used to have Parliament, peace to the gods. Yeah. Where they used to have Parliament. You couldn't go to where else they used to do it? In Brooklyn, they used to have this park, right, where they used to have this place called the Brooklyn Children's Museum. And there was a park right around it. I remember that specifically because that's where I met a lot of the young gods before I even went to Harlem and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
You know, Brooklyn, not to cut you off, God. You know, Brooklyn, they had their own school there too at one point.
Yeah, we did.
So I was just interviewing a brother and we was talking about that.
Islam, yeah, because there was a heavy presence of gods, like heavy.
Yes.
Where I was at in Brooklyn, in Crown Heights, in Flatbush,
yes,
and especially East New York. This around the time when Ansar Allah community was out there too. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So at the time I was coming up, it was like hip hop culture.
Yeah.
So-called black culture, you know what I'm saying? And then like everything else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's where I was at. So I was really into that. And like the first time, how could I say? The day that I had had got like my first like lessons like that, or I met my first like person with knowledge of self was the same day my mom's got her chain snatched right in that park. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow.
Yeah, boy, I was right there with my mom's, and this dude walked up. I'll never forget. Walked up and asked her for the time. And back then, females used to have these like little they used to look like little horns almost. It was like a chain pendant, and it would have like it would be shaped like a little horn, not an actual horn, but I remember my mom
Yeah,
saying.
and then
Anyway,
like a bunch of them linked together.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I know what you're talking about.
So he snatched that and kept it moving, but that always stuck with me for whatever reason, because that was the same day I was getting that knowledge. So, and then she started screaming on me, like, "Don't you ever be no thief! Don't you ever blah blah blah." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So knowledge and culture and stuff like that, it wasn't like something that was outside of. It was everywhere. Yeah. So me specifically coming up in that era, I was really into that, and so it fostered this idea of me or us being more than what was being advertised. Because even when I was getting the knowledge and going to the library and reading these things, certain things just didn't make sense still. And then when I would go to other brothers or sisters to ask, like they couldn't tell me because they reading the same books. And I started to notice that most people become complacent based upon the group that they identify with. So if their group don't rock with that, then it's not real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you kind of learn early on in this that you got to kind of like go all out for self if you want to get a true depiction that you can identify with.
Yeah. You know, and it's crazy that you had said that, brother, because through my journeys when I was coming up, I got knowledge of self. I was about 12 years old.
Islam, me too.
And so of course it was the 5% nation, because in the era I came in, they was like all the cool guys.
That was it. That's where all the big dudes was at.
Yeah, so they was all the cool guys. So I was like, I want to be with y'all. It was sort of kind of like a gang a little bit.
Yeah, they had versions of it. Like in Brooklyn, they're not going to talk about it, but there was a whole like, I don't want to call them a hit squad, but it was definitely this. It was something out there called the Angels of Medina. And from the stories I heard from the elder dudes, these are the ones that was putting in all of the work when the Muslim war started. Because people don't know, like there was a whole Islamic war going on in America between the time that they killed Malcolm X and the time they found all them bodies in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar house with the Hanifa murders. Remember all of that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about that. Yeah. So between them periods, but
some of that is kind of like swept under the rug. Like, why is that?
They don't talk about it more. They don't talk about that shit. They was finding niggas' heads cut up in the garbage cans around the mosque up in Harlem and shit. Like it was heavy.
Yeah, all the way to Newark. It was all the way to Newark.
All the way to Newark, because this is when they found out that the nigga that killed Malcolm went to that mosque out there in Jersey, and the Jersey niggas was protecting him. You know what I'm saying? The red beard niggas, all them type of dudes. Yeah. Them niggas were going to Claret. They were going to get the hair dye and all that. Yeah. Look like the real pale Arabs. Them niggas, they had hooked up with the Muslim communities out there. Yeah. And so the story was, after dude made the hit, he was given asylum. See what I'm saying? Yeah. Under the Muslim code though. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Because they was looking at it as a Muslim internal thing.
Yeah, under like
but Malcolm had made all, but El Haj Malik Shabbat had made all of these other, like when Elijah and them that went south, he started clicking up with other people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they don't talk about that. Yeah. Really much. You gotta piece it out in like books. Like if you get that book that Jerry Lewis Bay wrote, if you get another book called The Brothers Incorporated. Yeah, okay. I read that book. Brothers Incorporated. Yeah, get that book. Almighty Peace Stone Nation. Big up Islam to T. Rogers. He just passed. Yeah, he just transitioned.
Have you ever met T. Rogers?
Stones. Huh?
Have you ever met T. Rogers?
You know what's funny? Once briefly in Brooklyn.
Okay.
At the time when I was still doing, when me and Supernova was still cool. I mean, we still cool, but I don't really speak to him and shit. But when we was doing, right after we finished the album, we had recorded the album together.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, man, it was gonna come out. It was gonna be dope too, but you know.
Okay.
So
the tracks is just laying around somewhere?
Yeah, I got the whole album, man. It's hype. I used to play part of it when I used to do the Superhero Radio, man. It was really good. But really what happened, he went to the Army, bro. And
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it didn't tell, you know what I'm saying? Not to make it about him, but he didn't tell me and shit. So I kind of like backed up off all that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, most of the situation was popping off because, like I said, it was a heavy movement to get everybody kind of politicized. But what I started to notice was that, like I said, you had people like with the Muslim war thing. I was coming across that in different research I was doing. And then when I was trying to go and speak to people like in the nation and shit like that, I started noticing like, nah, they ain't talking about that. You know what I'm saying? Especially the no more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And with stuff like that, you don't really know who was really down and who really wasn't with it. You know what I'm saying? So you also don't want to go so far deep and you asking all these different questions. And you be told to the nigga right there to coordinate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because unlike a lot of other movements, like when the white people assassinate somebody, they get the assassin out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They'll get the assassin out. With the black community, they will have you assassinated and have the nigga who did it like still in the community with you.
Yeah, still walking around.
Yeah, God, like still walking around.
Yeah.
Like how many people you know body niggas and they still walking around here?
Yeah.
Like it's all good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or people who have even like nowadays, like you could literally snitch. You know what I'm saying? And be home and in the street. And I mean, George Zimmerman is still walking around here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. That's kind of crazy. So
yeah, man.
When did you bump into or came to the teachings of Noble Drew Ali?
Via the Nation Gods of Earth, believe it or not.
Yeah, I always look at them like as a vessel to shoot you out to different schools of thought.
And then you always go to the top based upon what they taught you.
Yes.
Like everybody want to get caught up in the white man's the devil thing, the black man is God thing about that. But I should say, however, what attracted me to it was the way that the lessons and stuff was laid out. Because when I came up, like you had to have an enlightener. You know what I'm saying? You had to have, and then he had to be able to have an enlightener. Just in case you had to build.
It's a little different now. The enlightener be the computer. It's weird.
The computer word.
Yeah.
Like I remember where you couldn't just there was no book with lessons in it. You had to go, like I had to meet somebody. Like the enlightener I had was a guy named Ramel Allah out of the BX. And peace to him. And it was me and my man Akil. And we went all the way up to Harlem. I never forget, we went up to Harlem because Akil's sister was cool with Ramel's girl. And so once he knew that we wanted to get knowledge and shit, he was like, yo, I could come up and build. So we went up to his crib in the BX and shit. And then we was building. And I never forget, at the time I had like a nose ring. Yeah. Like right in the nose ring, right? So as we building, we going through the lessons.
The Ansar brothers used to keep the nose ring too.
Yeah, used to have the nose ring and shit.
Yeah. So
I had it for a while up until that day. So then we there building with him and we going through it. And he's letting us know like this is what you're supposed to do. Because back then you used to have to copy. They wouldn't let you even take the lesson. You had to sit there and copy them out.
And you had to master it and know it word for word.
Yeah, you had to master that. You know?
Yeah.
You had to really understand what you was talking about with that shit.
Yeah.
And then they had you scared to ask questions, so you ain't really know. Yeah. So you had to really figure it out. But at the same time, I look back on it now.
I ain't gonna front, good brother. I used to be scared, right? Because I ain't want to get no universal.
Yeah, because they would universally beat you up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when they used to give the universals. So you couldn't even stutter a word.
Nah, God. You couldn't
even miss a the. You couldn't even miss a the or a.
Nah, God, you had to. That's what. Matter of fact, hold on one second. Say something.
Yeah, that's the good brother Aseer. This brother's real deep. I need to look him up on YouTube. Punching Aseer Duke of Tiers. Not tiers as tiers, like top tier.
Yeah, like tiers, like level.
Yes.
Yeah, God, like used to have to build for this.
Yeah, that's indeed.
Still got mines.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I learned a lot. And when he had me sit there and copy all of that stuff out. We was there for hours, because we wouldn't leave until we had it all done. So we copied the alphabet, the actual facts.
Yeah, your student enrollment.
The math, what was it?
Your 1 to 10s?
Yup, 1 to 10, yup.
Yeah.
1 to 10, 1 to 20, 140, yup.
Yeah.
All that more. And he had plus lessons.
Yeah.
Which, you couldn't really speak to certain people about those.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So, after all of that, we got it all. I'm feeling good, whatever. Right before I leave, he turned to me. He's like, look, God, you're going to be in the nation. You got to take that nose ring out. So now I'm an Aries, though. So I'm like, why? So he was like, why? He was like, because the pirates that used to come used to signify themselves with the nose ring and shit. You know what I'm saying? So that was for those that was living a beast way of life, savages, short, right? Yeah. So he was like, so you don't want to be, you don't want to stand in one nation signaling another.
Yeah.
So I sat back and I thought about it. I was like, word, right there. Boom. Yeah. But really, I feel like he wanted to see where I was at with it. If I was going to take it personal or whatever, how attached I was to the material aspect of what it is that I wanted to look like or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what he said was knowledge born because I had read some books about the pirates, these dirty Moors and stuff, and I would remember seeing all of them, these ones with the nose rings and the earrings and all that.
Yeah.
So from that day, I ain't had no nose ring, no earring, no nothing. So that's what I'm saying about like back then, your words had to reflect your actions.
Oh yeah, all the time.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and in every cipher, because then from that cipher, maybe a week after that, I'm in Medina, and then I go by my mother's sister's friend's store, and his name was Bilal Muhammad, peace be upon him. And he had a store down by where Spike's joint used to be.
Okay.
On that strip. On the back side of, what is that?
Crown Heights, right?
Yeah. Fort Greene. Right by, what's that high school? Right where Spike's joint used to be. Was that Tilden? No. Tech? One of them. Anyway.
Brooklyn Tech, yeah. That's like Brooklyn Tech is on the back end of like downtown.
On the back end, right.
Yeah.
Right. So, what's the name of that? Yeah, it's right there in Fort Greene, though. I would be there so many years trying to bag girls and shit. Anyway, it's right down where Spike's joint was on that same strip.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he had a store.
Yeah, so the 40 acres and the mule joint.
Yes, bro. Yeah. Yes. Right.
I never forget, I went all the way down there. The clothes was too high.
Islam, right.
Yeah.
It was talking like $500 for like a jersey.
Yeah, it was crazy. Wild. Yeah. Spike, you was bugging out, Spike Lee.
Remember?
Yeah.
This nigga Spike was caking with the
movie. I remember going in there back in the days, and he had they had Video Music Box was there with Ralph
Remember?
Daniels.
Yeah,
And they had
bro.
Diggable Planets. That was the first time I ever heard them.
Yo,
Diggable Planets
take
was
it
in
back.
there. Yeah.
Taking it back, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they was buying the hats and shit. Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it was right across the street from the park. Because
Yeah.
that's where they used to have Parliament at.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's where they also used to have the, what's it called is that? Like the festivals and all that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So boom, I'm going to his store and he had all these books. And one of the books was 100,000 African horsemen.
Mm.
And I opened the book, and when I looked at it, they had like a map. And on all of the map in the western portion of Africa, it was like Moors. I'm like, what is that? So then they were like Songhai, boom. So I remember certain names.
Yeah.
Like Songhai, you know, the Marabu and all of that. So I'm reading the book, I'm really getting into it. I'm like, yo, what is this Moor like thing with the Moors? So then he looked back at me. And then he was like, you don't know about the Moors?
That was
like,
Brother
nah.
Bilal, right? The brother you said?
His brother Bilal.
Yeah.
He's been part of Bilal Muhammad. And he was like, oh, word, you don't know about the Moors? I said, I read about them, but I didn't know, like I keep seeing the name.
Yeah.
He's like, well, that's you. And I was like, what?
Mm.
I said, I thought it had something to do in Spain and all this other type of stuff. He said, look. You know what? You came at the right time. Come tomorrow, and we're going to be in Regalia, and I'm going to show you what the Moors is, right? Matter of fact, take the book, right? So he gave me the book. I still got it. He gave me the book, went home, did comparative research. Next morning, I forgot what I did, but somehow or another towards the afternoon, I made it over there. When I made it over there, him, his man, and his other man was on horses, and they was all draped up in Moorish garb.
And this is in Brooklyn?
This in Fort Greene, my nigga.
Fort Greene.
Like right there.
Yo,
right
where
there.
the horses from?
The horses, because they was cool with the Black Cowboy Federation.
Okay.
That's all the way over there by Linden.
When I was young, they used to come to our school. I'm from the Bronx.
Yeah,
they used to come to our
tricks.
school and have the black rodeo.
The rodeo, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they used to take school trips over to the land that they had right there by the projects, right by the big houses. You know what I'm saying? And then that's where he would do it, right? So I turned the corner and it was like, yo, Mo, it's like, it was crazy. It was like it was like literally walking back in time. And I'm not even thinking about it. You know, like I'm thinking about it, but I'm not thinking I'm gonna see them like that.
Yeah.
And that shit just impacted me more. I just saw that. And it was like, he must have seen on my face. He was like, yo, close your mouth. The fly's about to come in. He's like, ready? He's like, you ready? And I'm looking up at these niggas like, yo, I can't. I was like on the horse. I was like, nah, I can't even. I'm like, look
they
how I'm
had
dressed.
fezzes on and everything.
Nigga, they get not only the pheasants, like, I don't know if you ever see the Moorish festivals they'll do in Spain or Mexico or whatever, and they'll really deck out the Moorish gear. Yeah. Because they've been celebrating our fall ever since it happened. So they, every year in Spain, over there, Spain, they have the Matamoros festival where they dress up like Moors to celebrate the expulsion of the Moors from Spain. But Spain ain't been shit since we've been there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
And the Spanish will tell you that. The Sicilian, the people from Sicilia, you know what I mean? They'll let you know, like, no, this place ain't shit since y'all left. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
we got up out of there and the soul left.
Yeah, everything. You know what I'm saying? And that wasn't even the main spot. That was just like the colony section that we was looking up while we was out. You know what I'm saying? That was like the summer house over there.
Yeah.
So more I saw him, I was like, nah, Mo, I can't get on no horse looking like this. I said, I'm gonna destroy y'all whole look. I'll just walk. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll just walk and watch on it. Cause now I'm walking, not like literally with them, but they were like, all right, we're gonna start. And as they started, they start singing like old like Moorish hymns and shit. And so they walking through the hood, riding through the hood with the thing. People is waving, traffic is stopping. People is like, And so I'm walking alongside of them and just like bugging. Like I'm taking it all in. Like, yo,
yeah,
this is not something that people see every day. Like, and then it took it out of. Sorry, it's a little hot in.
Nice. All right.
It took it out of the context of it being in the past.
Yeah.
Like Moorish history and culture showed me that you could be this, what your ancestors were, than you are today without any hesitation. You know what I'm saying? Truth or contradiction. So in seeing that, it really left an indelible mark on me to the point that after that, I started researching the Moors. I got Ivan Van Sertima, Golden Age of the Moor, got Boville's Golden Trade of the Moor, got the African President Early Asia, African President Early America, got When Nations Gather by Sultan Abdul Latif. Big up to him. Big up to his son who wrote me via YouTube the other day, because he said I'm one of the only people to talk about his father's book. If y'all see that, definitely support that.
Okay.
You need to get
say it again. Say the book again.
When Nations Gather by a great author who's really people don't be talking about, Sultan Abdul Latif. He wrote another joint called
I need to
Psychic
check that
Trauma. He wrote another great book called Psychic Trauma. Get that book too.
Check that out.
So yeah, seeing all of that got together. So then I went back, and then after a while, I started seeing the correlation. I started researching the Nation of Islam because I already knew that the gods came out of that. So when I started doing the nods to that, that's when I came across that picture of Elijah Poole Bay with the fez on. And then I was like, wow, he's wearing a fez. So I started really hammering and going into that.
Hold on for a second.
And then found out. Say again.
Hold on for a second, Mo. So that information is official that he was really in the temple?
Yeah, Elijah Poole Bay, yeah. In the Moorish Temple of America, yeah, he was in there. I think he might have been in with his family, with one of his family members, like his father, his mother too. And what happened was he wound up bouncing. When shit got hot, they bounced, went to Detroit. And then that's when they hooked up with Fard. Yeah. And then that's when they set up the Islam Temple of America. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because like it was Garvey. Yeah. And when Garvey was gone, you had all these Garveyites. Where'd they go? They all went into the Moorish Temple of America. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Or most of them, a lot of them went to Moorish Temple of America. Yeah. And by that time, the prophet now is going against, not going against, but he's correcting a lot of the stuff that started happening with Martha. So you started hearing more start talking about, we're not Ethiopian. We're not Negroes. We're not black or colored. Whereas Garvey's joint was what? You're the Negro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We have to uplift ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're Negro, black, you colored, like these Ethiopians are the nations that have no nationality. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So he was basically trying to elevate. This is how I'm looking at it. Yeah. Trying to elevate the stuff to now clear up some of the confusion. Yeah. And that most of us at that time had. Right. Because we didn't know what part of, because remember, everything had just been reset by 1900. Yeah. So they had just added the one to the 9 to make it 1,000. They just added the 1,000-year shit around between like 1888 and 1899. And so this is when they now create this new period that we in, where now everything is basically backed up by one. So whereas they took 580 years out of our calendar, they added 580 years to theirs, which then created a time differential of 1,160 years, right? Because so like what, to give themselves an extension? Right. They gave themselves an extended period because they didn't exist in that time. So they had to create an extended. Okay, all right. A placeholder to put themselves in history to act like they was already here. Yeah. So 580 years deducted from us. Mm-hmm. That 580 years is applied to them now, right? And then that leaves us a time differential of 1,160 years. If you add 580. That 1,000 is now put in front of the 8, and now we get 1,800 from 800. You know what I'm saying? But remember, no number higher than 9. So everything after 9 is an illusion. You understand? So you can have $10 billion, you understand? But the zeros don't exist. So really, you're dealing in the 9s. You're dealing in anything from 0 to 9. Okay? So within that time differential, they was able to now recreate this and then gave you this period they call Reconstruction.
Dr. York wrote a book on that before, the 9.
Yeah. There's also a thing in the Freemasons thing, the Black Boule Freemasons, the Divine 9. Yeah. Or when they say that you're dressed to the 9s, because 9 is like the highest in the astral shit. So essentially, that was the basis for how these things went. So in me studying, I'm seeing a correlation between all of this. So then once I found Noble Jew Ali, and once I Temple of America, then it kind of all started to gel, right? And then it was like, okay, so all of this that I'm studying came from Dude, you know what I mean? But Dude didn't create Moors. He just defined it or reinvigorated the people based upon the lack of knowledge of who they were.
He's like the reformer.
Yes, yes. And so I started to realize all Black people are Moors, but not all Moors are Black. You see what I'm saying? So
what you mean by that? Not all Moors are Black. So are they non-Black people that's Moors?
Meaning that, let me say it in another way. All melanated people are Moors, but not all Moors are melanated people.
Okay.
Meaning that you have those who we're all endowed with melanin, right? But some of us don't believe that it exists or that it's real or that it distinguishes us from anything or anybody else. Yes. So whatever properties that it has and could give them is inert because they've negated it within themselves. See what I'm saying? So just so I could see a picture, so I could see a roster, right? And then be like, peace, Moor, because I see him as a Moor.
Yes.
But he don't see himself like that.
Yes.
So in order for me not to disrespect him, I'm not going to call him something he isn't. But I acknowledge that he is not so different from me. You see what I'm saying? Just because he is a roster. Just like you have these people today that will be like, oh, well, you saying you are Moorish American. That means you're not from here. You're foreign to the United States. Like, I done heard niggas create rumors like I can't be a Moor because I was born in Spain. Like, they make rumors out about you. Like, I was born in Spain over there. Yeah. Because Cordoba, right, is those Cordoban Moors over there or whatever, because they still believe that Moor means foreign. So they still identify Spain on that side as opposed to the Spain over here. So I got all this so-called Tsalagi, Panahasawa, Washo, Yamasi blood in me, right? But then as soon as I declare myself to be a Moorish American, now I'm foreign to all of that now. Like, all of that just disappeared now. Like, and crazy.
Yeah, and I could dig. I got one question for you. My family is well, we got a little bit of everything in us, but
of course,
but mostly Shinnecock.
See, so that's like Long Island, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at the Shinnecock powwow. I did a whole video live from it one day, and then went to Labor Day, Brooklyn, the next day to show the contrast. I got a video called on my website called Native Blood.
You know, Flavor Flav is Shinnecock.
Yeah.
El Cool J also.
ODB.
ODB is also, El Cool J is Shinnecock though.
Was the prince of the Shinnecock because he's the direct descendant from Paul Cuffey. The direct descendant. This is why they targeted him. That's why he the only one in here. Because he a direct descendant from, meaning that he could be crowned prince. And the Shinnecocks was crowning kings and princes at one time. So he could definitely have been that.
Yeah.
So they needed to dead that before he, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Figure that out.
But like, as I'm getting older, I'm trying to do more research on the Shinnecock. I know at one time Trump had wanted to do business with them. And you remember he got on TV, he said, well, they don't look like Indians to me.
They don't look like the Indians I'm speaking to.
Yeah, they look like us. You know what I mean? They look like regular,
they not
basically Black Americans.
Yeah, they not Siberians from Siberia and all of that.
Yeah.
These Asians. Yeah, these Asians from Siberia who got more East Asian DNA than anything else, but then they because they dance with buffaloes and shit like they here longer than us. Come on.
I mean, but we know that they Hollywood Indians.
Right.
Because you know anything before the 1900s looked like us.
It's fake. That's what I'm saying. It's all fake. And they got all of that from the Wild Bill, Buffalo Bill, Wild Wild West show anyway.
I had you know the brother Dr. Imhotep? He wrote the book. I had him on the show. He wrote the book, The First Americans Are Africans.
Yeah, great book.
Yeah, he just revised it because he found even more information on different things. So he just added on to the book. Also, I'm gonna have him back on the show. He gonna build on it. You know, at one point he was Muhammad Ali's nutritionist. Also,
yes, indeed, I read that. His book, First Americans Were African, Return of the Ancient Ones by Empress Verides.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What else? Who else?
And they try to assassinate the sister numerous times.
Many times. They dug up her husband. Leslie cut his penis off. Did rituals with it. All of this. Yeah.
And she has the deed. And she has the deed of the whole land of like Louisiana.
Everything all the way up into Canada and Alaska.
Different states. She has the deed to this. Like this is hers.
Yeah. And Negroes are the ones that help destroy it and make it so that way it's harder for us to do it now, because this is what I'm saying. Like, we didn't fall to nobody else but people that look like us. It's just that they may have been from Europe, West Asia, because at the time we were running, there was no Europe. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Europe is some new, that's new. They just calling that now.
Yeah.
That was always West Asian to us. Or Albine. You know what I mean? Or Scotia, or Mercia. You know what I mean? Like, it was different names for it. Northumbria. Like, all of these, when you go into the real thing, was all dominions, people by us and our cousins from Europe. The problem is they brought their peons with them to do business, and then when they wanted to go back home, they left them here to hold up the fort, and then use them to denationalize and take land by proxy. So we never fell to no so-called Caucasian people or white people, because the term white or Caucasian don't mean the pale people that we know today, the WIGHT whites. Up until the 1800s, up until the 1900s, none of them was ruling nothing. They was all under everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's just now that we are coming into our own, they need us to disassociate from that epoch. So that way they can always perpetuate the Jim Crow, American segregation, slavery narrative stuff that they be pumping.
So basically, like what you saying, like sort of like the brother Dane Calloway?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm already hip to a lot of things, but I'm saying, like, the things that brother say, is it truth to it?
I look at it like this, man. I see a lot of people who weren't around like 20 years ago, you know what I'm saying, who grew up watching people like me.
I was thinking of that.
Yeah, watch people like
jack
me.
What they want to jack, though. They don't tell the whole truth.
Yeah.
They jack pieces of it.
Yeah, God, they take the piece that worked for their argument and then use that to justify ignoring the meat of the whole thing. And that's how I look at a lot of these people. So I don't know Duke personally. I don't know none of that. But there are certain things that I've agreed with, that I've heard, But see, what I do, I purposely strive not to like even watch these people or speak to people like that, because I don't want to be one triggered to be, because I'm an Aries, so I watch some shit and be like, oh, this nigga just really bugging. He really just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm striving to reduce my ego, so I don't put myself in situations to be triggered by what some lies somebody else saying.
But
now, if it comes back to me,
sometimes you gotta pop your shit though.
right?
You know what I mean?
At the same time, in being around as long as I have with it, I've learned that a lot of these niggas ain't even worth it to do that, because, you know what I'm saying? Because in the end, you don't know these guys. These guys are just, you know them based on what they've spoken about.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to you actually, like if you used to go back in my catalog and look, you're going to see me on the street. You're going to see me speaking at schools. You're going to see me speaking at community centers, senior citizen centers, colleges, you know what I'm saying? Like community functions, Native American, so-called American Indian, meaning dark Indian, powwow. Like I've been out here for a minute. You know what I mean? Like when it wasn't popular to be that. Like I was wearing feathers and all this type of stuff. Like when these niggas was straight, hoodied up, you know what I'm saying? Baseball capped up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm getting this money like with the glitter and the rhinestones, you know what I'm saying? So I'm watching these dudes catch up now. Yeah. To this cultural thing that we've been on when it wasn't popular, when it wasn't cool, when niggas was looking at me like I was crazy. Yeah. Because I'm walking around with straight hawk and feather, falcon feathers and shit. And I'm going to court like that. I'm in the street like that. I'm going to the grocery store like that. Like this is how I live. Yeah. I'm not just like, I'm not playing. Yeah. So niggas will talk about American Indian this and then and that, but do you know how to get sinew? Have you been to a real sweat, where you use the ancestors to heat the sweat lodge? Do you know how to actually sew or make a real war bonnet? I know how to do shit like that. Yeah. Do you know how to carve a tomahawk? Like I know how to do shit like that for real. You know what I'm saying? So when I see these jokers on the joint trying to be like the ultimate Indian or the ultimate Moor, you know what I mean? Like it's funny to me. Because
I hate using the term Indian. I ain't gonna lie, I hate using that term.
Yeah, because it's not, I mean, it's just this thing is nigga. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But they want to use it, words like Indian, words like Aboriginal, as if that is denoting a specific people. And it's not. It's a descriptive adjective. Yeah. It doesn't define you.
So at the time,
it localizes you to what the United States needs you to be, because the Indian is the only so-called race in the world that needs the government to acknowledge it. That's what makes it an Indian, based on the Indian Act, the Removal Act of 1871, that ceased to recognize any individual Indian as a part of any nation. Wow. Okay? 1871 was also the year they set up the KKK to get rid of all of those so-called Native American Indian Moors or whoever that wasn't with it. See what I'm saying? They both founded in the same year. That's also the year that you can read the actual the surrender when they took over North Carolina, which then basically allowed them to put the republic in a box and then start to run the rest of the country via the district. You know what I'm saying? So because we are always taught this history from somebody else that was taught by a liar, we then start, not us, but people start teaching lies as if they're truth. And then they have to defend these lies. And then people like us get born, and then we come in and say, well, no, that's not true. Then now we become the enemies to our own people, because they have been educated from children to believe that the truth that the lie that they have is the truth, and that we're now coming to upset that.
You know what? When I was young, I think I might have been in the 8th grade or something. We took a field trip to DC, right? And now I was probably I was about in the 8th grade. I just start getting knowledge itself. So, you know, when you first start, you question everything.
Yeah.
Right. And we went to, I forgot what was the place we went to, but they had the treaties between all of the natives. Right.
Right.
And one of the first treaties ever written down was between the natives of Delaware. Cause you know, Delaware was the first state.
Yeah,
right?
Moors.
In the treaty, and the name of the chief was Chief Abdul Haq.
Yep.
So I'm right there, and it's a lady, and she's going fast with it. So I'm like, hold up.
Yeah.
All of these other so-called Indians, their name is Chief Running Water, Chief Eagle Feather, and all this. I said, how did he get the name Chief Abdul Haq?
Because they was a Muslim, and the Delaware Moors was the Moors.
Exactly. And she said, and you know what they said? Well, it's just a name. I said, no, it can't just be a name.
It is just a name to them.
Yeah. You don't see a Chief Peter Yokovich or nothing like that. How was his name? Chief Abdul Haq.
Yeah, just like the last.
And I tell that to everybody. That lets you know that we've been on this land. We are natives to this land.
They used to put M on people in driver's license, that lived out there. That was Moors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the Moors had their own thing hooked up. They had their own schools. They had everything. But white or black kids could not go to Moorish schools unless they had special permission from the Shakums, i.e. the sheiks that ran the schools and all that. Like all of these nations on the southeast coast, from Florida up to Maine and all that, all of those were considered what they call the barbarous nations. Why would you call Indians barbars or barbarians or from Barbary? These are the Barbary powers that the United States was fighting towards the end of the 18th century. That was enslaved and everything. I got documentation that says that Christian slavery went all the way from Asia and ended here in America by the Mississippi River. That's as far as it went. You understand the thing? Extended of us traveling back and forth, enslaving these people. You know what I'm saying? And so really, like I said, with the Moor thing, when I really started to really dive into that, it really gave me a more understanding of my American identity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
More so than being some displaced driftwood of a person that just gets passed to whatever nation that whatever. Yeah. And so that's when I started to really step back and see, like, and if anything's gonna come from this, I can't get this information from people that aren't that.
That's why we can't go back to Africa and find out where we from, because we ain't from there.
And when you ever heard an African coming from Africa to find you? You ain't never heard no African talk about, oh, I found my DNA test and I got like 2% Cherokee or like 3% Lenape. You don't never hear that. Yeah. All you hear is niggas, is people over here trying to graft themselves to people over there that genetically are different than them. And it doesn't mean that we are at war or we're better or worse, but it is to say that we have a distinctive identity that is not dependent on any other person or being or nation on this entire planet but us.
Why do you feel they mixed it all up, like just threw us all in a bag and shook it up?
Through this hodgepodge, reconstructionist, revisionist, Boule, talented tenth, satanic, Luciferian, fake timeline that they got us in. Like,
hold on for a second too, and we're gonna go in on the Boule in a minute, but go ahead, speak on that, because I got to.
Every culture has a specific time that it came on the earth, except us. You can't. There's no time that you could say. We already read in the lesson, Nation of Islam has no birth record, but they're not talking about Farrakhan, Nation of Islam. And they're talking about the ancient aspect of our self-law and master. There's never been a time that has not existed.
There's never been a time we didn't exist.
Thank you. Just like it says in the Circle 7 Quran, it says never there was a time that man, never there was a time that man began. Because if there was a time that man began, then surely there would be a time that man would end.
Yeah.
And man cannot circumscribe. Man's thoughts cannot circumscribe the infinite, the finite to the infinite. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So we can perceive that which is infinite. However, we can only perceive it based upon our finite experience.
Yeah.
You understand? So therefore, every society, culture has a cultural time in which they came to being. Therefore, every culture then has a timeline embedded within its own expression. So the Etruscans had a timeline. They had their calendar. The so-called Nubians had a calendar. The Ethiopians had a calendar, right? All of these people had calendars that went along with the culture, that went along with the language, that went along with the food, that went along with the architecture, that went along with the dress, that went along with the laws, that went along with the day-to-day social inferences that made the society what it was. And then once that society got knocked down, what happened? The conquerors came in and took them off their timeline and put them under their timeline. See? And so now you ask where the ancient people went. They went to the place that they was moved from because they was really there. But the timeline in which they were able to perpetuate their existence was overcome. And then a new timeline was circumvented on top of that. And then those that didn't want to deal with it either had to die, had to escape, had to try to attack, had to go and set it up somewhere else. You see what I'm saying? But now this fake timeline is on top of the real timeline. And then those that remember the original timeline have now been assimilated into the fake one. So now they can't really talk about it. This is why we get stories from my grandmother talking about, oh yeah, you had an Indian in your family.
Yeah.
But you never heard no grandmother tell you, oh, you got African from your family. You never heard that.
Yeah.
Never heard that unless you directly came from Africa. And if you did, that means your people are not from here. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because see, to us, Africa, to us that's really in the know, Africa means earth. The whole earth is Africa, if you want to say it. That's one of the Freemasonic secrets. That's how they get you displaced. Okay? This right here, we're in the extreme Africa, the extreme western portion of Africa, in the Maghreb al-Aqsa, which is the Morocco of the farthest west. So that's where we are now. Yeah. However, remember, the map is reversed. So even though I'm in Florida, where you at?
I'm in Virginia right now.
Right. So really, I'm in Florida at the top of the country. You're closer to the bottom. But they got the map reversed. You see what I'm saying? So they got you thinking everything starts in the north first, when that's not true. Every civilization that has ever existed has always started in the southern hemisphere first. Because you can't build nothing where it's cold. You got to let that thaw out first. You know what I'm saying? So right now, when they say so that I'm really down bottom, but really I'm on the top. Because Florida's at the top of the country. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
However, they gave us a Mercator map. You see what I'm saying? They gave us United States here, Africa here, right? Europe here, Asia here, right? Germany here. When really it don't even look like that. That's not how the world look at all. Ask yourself this: how did these Haitians wind up in the Gulf of Texas within 2-3 days on a boat? How they get there? To the point where the United States is up here with lassos on horses rounding these niggas up. How did that happen? How'd they do that?
When Florida is supposed to be right there. Right
there. How y'all bypass Florida and go all the way? As many Haitians is out here right now.
Yeah.
I'm in Andalus, so I know. As many Haitians out here right now. Right, I'm right by the beach. I should see these niggas coming on the boats, on the tubes or whatever. You know what I'm saying? 10 at a time. No, they're gonna bypass all this and go to Florida. That's an op. That's not even real. Them people probably not even real Haitians.
What you think about that whole situation with the Haitians and trying to get into this country or whatever?
It's all op, man. I feel like all that shit is op, man. I feel like Okay, they just dismembered Wiz the Wizard out here. This rapper, I don't know if you heard about him. He's
Spanish looking kid, right?
Cut this young man up. And then some dude did a whole video basically, I guess taking credit for it. But basically saying why it happened. And I'm like,
cut his head off and everything. Yeah.
They talking about, Z's up to the feet's up. And I'm like, okay. But y'all did this to this dude. I get the street gang, mafia culture, whatever y'all dealing with. And you know, there's some voodoo wrapped up in that too.
Yeah. I was going to say that.
However,
I was going to say that.
How come y'all ain't have that same energy for y'all president? How y'all just letting people run up in y'all country like that and just destroy your whole infrastructure? And y'all, instead of y'all staying there and working it out, y'all trying to come here, set up criminal organizations, you know what I'm saying, to extort rappers and all of this, when you could take that same energy back home and free the whole island. Like, what's up with that?
Y'all know y'all got it in y'all blood because y'all did it in 1804.
Y'all just did it here. You just dismembered a nigga. That's what I'm saying. Y'all just literally dismembered the nigga and took credit for it. So all I'm saying, if y'all got that type of organization where y'all could just kidnap niggas, cut them up, do what y'all want to do to them, all of that, then why not apply that to the country that y'all all have, that y'all all come from, that is the basis of what so-called real republicanism is in this hemisphere. Why don't y'all do that? How are y'all letting niggas that's not y'all let a bunch of Venezuelans come up in there? Spanish niggas come up in there and do the hits?
Yeah,
Why?
and they said they stopped because they said, freeze DEA. Yo, if this is the president palace, if this is the president palace,
but see,
how can you say DEA and we scared of another country?
See, this go back to the treaty that Haiti signed in 1915, man, that made the United States basically be the underwriter for anything that Haiti want to do. But just also because the Haitians themselves killed Desagne. Let's talk about that, man. Like how they say the Nation of Islam was cursed because of what they did to Malcolm Little. Yeah. That's an underground thing that's spoken of, that the nation never really recovered after that. Yeah. That it was honest, that the closest it got back to is when Khalid was around. Yeah. And you see what they did to him. Yeah. So all I'm saying, man, is that we at a stage where we have all the power. And what I keep seeing is us using that power to kill one another. When all we got to do is apply it where it need to go, man. Like, at some point, that Haiti got to admit that y'all a failed state. And then maybe once you admit that you're a failed state, you can do some sort of ritual to negate what y'all did to Desagne. Because that's what I think the whole curse and all this is coming from. Because from when I spoke to a Haitian elder a long time ago, he told me, he said the reason why Haiti wears hat is because they killed a divine black pig. See, the divine black pig was Desagne. They
killed Dessalines too, though, right?
That's Desagne.
Desagne, okay. Dessalines, yeah.
Desagne is the emperor. He was
because you know, after they defeated the French, right? Yeah. And they didn't only defeat the French; they defeated the English too, because they tried to come in too. They whooped them up too. Yeah. So, and what they did was they burnt the land. So even if they were still around, they couldn't grow nothing, eat nothing. So now when Dessalines was like, hold up, now we got to rebuild. They wanted to party. Yes. They wanted, no, celebrate. No, it's time to build. So he wasn't playing like, no, we got to build. We got to become a world power, which at the time, they was the richest nation on this side of the earth.
And they freed all of the other South American countries.
Exactly. They freed, that's what a lot of them white Caucasian, them white Hispanic, they won't tell you that they freed a lot of Spanish countries.
They freed all of the South American countries. That's why all of them got the freedom cap, the fez on they coats of arms because they all owe Haiti, right? And the thing about it is, people don't even know. I'm about to get it printed up. Haiti, again, was an empire. It was an empire of Haiti. And they had an imperial flag. I know y'all seen the red, blue, and white one. Yeah. Then you've seen the black and the red one. But there's another one that's white, blue, with the green lotus blossoms in the middle. That's the imperial flag of Haiti. This is when Haiti was basically now consolidated as an empire. This is what the Sanye was going. And these niggas got scared and they killed him. And they cursed themselves ever since then. Because ever since then, they've been falling. Ever since then. And instead of them, like right now, if they was to make voodoo the national religion, Haiti would go up into that stratosphere today. If they was to say, you know what, voodoo is our state religion, and we're going to basically go back to what we're doing, whatever, it will be over.
And they act like they scared to practice it, but you see white people
working it on each
you see
other.
white people, they go there all the time and
they working it on each
rituals.
Other. They using it on each other. They doing dumb shit like putting roots on this nigga because he don't want to be with her no more. He want to, you know what I'm saying? He want to get money or,
them
you know
niggas
what I mean?
bug
Like the era of cutting animals up and killing animals and all that shit is dead. Like you are the power now. The blood is literally within us now. We have reached a certain crescendo level that we're at a tipping point with what we want to manifest.
Say that again, crescendo?
A crescendo, like we're reaching to a point where it's reaching a buildup.
Yeah.
And at that crescendo level is where we are spiritually. So long as we're not weighted down with all of the BS. And that energy is what allows us to manifest things in real time quicker than we would have any other time. Yeah. So in this period where we're supposed to now evolve the science, elevate the spiritual science to a point where we ain't got to do all of that type of shit, where I could literally look and think about something and manifest it. That's possible. However,
we're not tapped in.
Right, but you got to look at it like this. Like Akhenaten. When Akhenaten, for instance, decided that we're going to do all of our rituals and worship during the day. The sun is God, right? Matter of fact, we're going to build temples and we're not even going to put roofs on them. This was the beginning of the buildings of what they call Moorish forest culture or Moorish outdoor areas where you would see like certain mounds. Like when you go to Europe, you had the Druids where they would build everything out of the rocks and it'd be outside. That was basically the basis. That was coming from the Akhenaten period, in which now he was building all of these temples so hard with the columns, but they had no roofs. Yeah. And he deaded all of the what you call it, parishioners, where they can only do everything in the day. So now whatever cult you had, whatever they was dealing with, they could only do it in the day. So now what this did was that put a bunch of priests out of work. Think about all the moon cults. Think about all the Anubis cults. Think about the Satyphon cults. Think about them. They all out of work now. Yeah. You understand? Yeah. So now you look at it in modern times, it's the same type of shit. Like you got people now who have made livings off of the wrong education, the wrong work, the wrong this, the wrong that. But now with YouTube, they got to keep feeding this demon because that is what allows them to reach the people and get money. So now they are now perpetuating the same thing, but now it's exacerbated because they have to constantly feed it because this thing that we're on doesn't give us anything back. You got to constantly put shit into it, constantly put something into it, or people forget. Yeah. So you have people that's literally slaves to YouTube, slaves to the internet, slaves to Etsy or Spotify or whatever they on, because if those portals was to go tomorrow, if OnlyFans was to disappear tomorrow, you understand what it would do? Twitter was to disappear tomorrow. You know how many businesses would fold because they base their whole business model on the internet? You know how stupid that is? This is the problem with it, because These people trust this man so much that he will let them go cut their penis off. He'll let them cut their breasts off. He'll let them put things inside them that they know is killing them. But if I was to go to the same people and be like, look, let's get $200 together and we're going to go set up this, and that. These niggas will get you crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And
So,
one more thing, not to cut you off, bro. One more thing, not to cut your wisdom, because you're dropping jewels. One more thing I want to get into. Tell the people or just speak on what this group is about, the Boule.
Okay.
Because I stay bombing on them.
Indeed. Big up to Bobby. Big up to Steve Coakley. Peace be upon him. Yes.
Peace be upon him.
Pleased with his service on this Shabbat Shalom. He was the first one to basically bring to us what we kind of seen happening, but we didn't know that it was actually disorganized.
We thought he was crazy, to keep it real.
We
thought he was crazy, but he had all the sense.
A lot of people did, but see, like I said, like I came up when you used to get those type of lectures on cassette tapes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like even before flip phones.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I remember listening to tapes, watching video things, video cassettes back when pause tapes was out. So that's what I'm saying. Like this thing been here. But with Steve, what he did was remind us that this thing existed. And then what happened, Bobby Hemmett came. Yeah. Peace be to him. And then he kind of expanded on it in terms of the actual ritualistic manifestation. But what people should understand is that when we speak of the Boule, or the Archon specifically, we're not speaking of every dude in a Greek fraternity, every dude in a thing. Like, they are just there to support the actual Boule, who are the Archons, who are the ones that are directly working to keep working with the decoys to keep everything the way it is.
It's like being part of something, but you don't know. It's like a cult within a cult, a group within a group.
You gotta be invited. Like if you join Skull and Bones, you getting $500,000 off brick. You know what I'm saying? Before you even graduate. Yeah. But they come to you. Yeah. They ask you. Boule is the same thing. You join up with them. You cool with them. That's why a lot of people will go into, like, if you're a female, you'll go into Sigma Phi Rho, I believe it is, right? Yeah. I believe Sigma Phi Rho is the female contingent to the Alpha, Kappa Alpha. These are
one of them. Yeah, I don't really know too much of them.
Sigma Phi Beta, then is the Sigma Phi Rho, and then is the AKA the Alphas or whatever. Yeah. So what they do, they cherry pick ones from each one of those things to go into certain joints. So the female, for instance, Sandra Bland, she was female Boule. Her order, look up the Greek fraternity that she was in. That order is the female Boule. Yeah. They are the ones that do a lot of the rituals. They the ones that set up a lot of the ritual killings and all types of stuff like that. Right? That's how she wound up in that. Her order, that order, when you find out what the name of it is, that's the female version of the black so-called Skull and Bones. So in there, they the ones that are doing the high.
Is it like the Lynx? Is it the Lynx or Jack and Jill? Because
these are all clubs. Those are little clubs.
That come from the Boule, though, correct?
That's all Boule system. Yes. Yeah. Jack and Jill.
Lynx.
The cotillion system. I don't know if y'all ever, like, I had a cotillion when I was a kid, and they made me take my cousin. You know what I'm saying? Like, my cousin was my thing. But that was a thing that cotillions would do, because my family was low-key wanting to be down with that. But see, my family was different. The females were the Freemasons. All the men had got ran out. You see what I'm saying?
Hold on.
I'm the last one left. Huh?
How is that? You said the females was the Freemasons?
Yeah, females was the Freemasons in my family, and the males was the ones that was all kicked out. They didn't really know that. Like my mom and my dad met at a Freemasonic lodge because they used to do church singing, and they used to travel around, and they would always meet at the halls to do the concerts.
Yeah.
So that's where he met her. You dig what I'm saying? But they were brought there by their parents. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So in that, like I said, in my family, I was the first one to go back to the family being Moors and shit, to the point where, like I said, I tell the story a lot, where I came home one day after that whole Bilal Muhammad situation.
Yeah.
After I got my first feds, the Moors gave me this thing. And back then, I went to this Moor sent me to a black Masonic store. And the black Mason was on some bullshit with me because I didn't want a fez with no writing.
Yeah. He
was like, nah, I can't give you that. You gotta have some writing on. I said, no, I'm a Moor. I'm not a Shriner, not none of that.
Yeah.
And I'm just coming into it. He was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely giving you one. Like he was like that.
Yeah.
So then I went back to this other Moor, and then he's the one, Brother Dawood. Was it Brother Dawood? No, it was another person who escapes me who it was.
Yeah.
But he's like, nah. He said, okay, the black ones is dissing you. Go here. He gave me this card. And in Manhattan, they had this building called the Flatiron Building. It's an old Tartary building that's shaped like a triangle.
Yeah. And it got its own little island, right?
Yeah. So I went up in there. I believe it was on the 13th floor. And it was a whole Masonic thing. This is where all the Masons throughout the world or whatever come to get their shit. Because, the big lodge on 21st Street was there. Mm-hmm. So I walk in, and again, I'm green. I just got my nationality card. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to get my first fez. I'm feeling. So I come in, and it was like you walk in, you get out the elevator, it's like marble. Then you walk around this long corridor, then you go in. As soon as you walk around the corridor, you see it. It's a giant. It was like this glass here, but it was took up the whole front of the building. I mean, the whole thing. We got off the elevator, turn the corner. It's this big glass, and they got all the Masonic symbols painted in the glass. Mm-hmm. Then you walk in, and then there's a big counter, right? That if I was to step into it, it would be like up here. You know what I'm saying? So you got to kind of step back. So I stepped back and looked at it, and they had all of the swords and the pillows and the everything. Yeah,
t-shirts.
So again, I'm green, right? So I'm green. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just doing but I know what a Muslim sun is. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. I know the 28th degree. You know what I mean? Why Yaqub made the devil? Why we murdered the devil? So I already know certain shit. So I'm bugging at the regalia, but I'm also know this is also the devil's spot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm not here as a Freemason. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm here to I'm here as a Moor.
Yeah.
So that's when he came, the old Jew came over. He was like a hunchback. He came over and walked. It was like steps. He had to step on top to the counter to look down and see.
Yeah.
It's like one of the jokes. Remember when Harry Potter went to the bank? He had the little gremlins. He looked just like that. Just like that.
Yeah.
With glasses. And homie was like, yo. He's like, okay, what can I do for you? I said, yeah, I'm trying to get a fez, blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, well, what lodge? Put this, put that. He pulled out the paper. I said, no lodge. No this, no that. I said, I just want a plain maroon.
But you got to show your dues card.
Yeah.
In order to purchase that stuff.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So he was like, well, you don't have no dues card, no nothing. I said, the only card I got is this. Pulled out my temple card. Mm-hmm. He looked at that shit, and he looked at me, and was like, what size? I was like, 7.5.
Yeah.
He was like, so I got just the one for you. He came back, and he brought it to me in a thing. He went in the back, and he brought one out, and it was like in a box almost. Plain, nothing on it. The box, I'm saying. Yeah. So then he brings it out, and he was like, yeah, this will work for you. So I pulled the joint out or whatever, it was like, boom, you open it, and it was like, he said, so you're a Moorish American. It was like, I looked at him, he was like, yeah. He said, yeah, we don't get many of those here. He was like, Islam. And then walked into the back.
Yeah. Because they know who we are. We just don't know who we are.
Yo, so then I pull out the bread to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
His little daughter, whoever they had, ready to get it from the back. He's like, he's good. So he's like, nah, you're all right. It's a gift. I was like, wow. But see, what it say? Reading the knowledge. It says, why does Muhammad and take the heads of the devils and all of that?
Yeah.
So once you're supposed to take the head of the devil, and then you get free passage into this holy city of Mecca to build with your brother Muhammad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened, boy. Staying strong, and he gave it to you.
Yeah, they know the deal, and it's crazy how the black brothers gave you the problem.
Always.
You get what I'm saying?
Always, because we didn't fall to no white people. We fell to one another. The people who was my enemies was the people that looked just like me, but they was coming from Europe, or they was coming from Asia, or they was coming from wherever, or they was calling themselves conquistador, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But in the end, the same people that was betraying us in 1492 was the same people betraying us in 2021. Because there is no such thing as 2021. You understand?
I had this brother on the show. I think we're going to drop his show on Monday, named David Rodriguez. And he was speaking on the whole thing with the how you say the word? Conquistadors. Right? And he was explaining how they wasn't white.
No, they were Moors.
Yeah, how they was black. He was like, you got to think about it. Look at the kings in Spain, right? None of them had like surnames like what we see now, like Sanchez, Torres.
Yeah.
They didn't. He was like Cortez. He was like, what Puerto Rican named Cortez?
Exactly. These are Moors.
He was like, these were Moors.
Yeah, these were
and I was
Moors.
I never thought of. I'm not gonna hold you. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, because we've been bred through roots and through transatlantic slave trade. Think about it. We was little kids. It was a transatlantic slave trade. No, it was the triangle trade. Then it became the transatlantic slave trade. No, it was a triangle trade. Then it became the Middle Passage. Then it became the transatlantic slave trade. So how does one event in the course of our lifetime translate into three different things, and we still alive? Like, we still alive. So how can one event be split up like that to now we all going back and forth with each other with that?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. No Caucasian people ruled nothing on earth prior to the 1900s. They can make you think that. They can make you think that. They can make you think that your name was a slave name when really your name was adopted by the Slavs. When you gave up your name to let these niggas come here and do business for you. That's what happened. These conquistadors was dirty Moors. These Spanish Castilians was dirty Moors who wanted to go into the old Roman system that we had shut down. And because they were forbidden to have titles of nobility for over 1,000 years, they pledged fealty to us to be able to rescind and get those titles back. The first ones to do that, to pledge the fealty, to get the titles back from us, was a nigga named was a king named Otto, and he had a wife named Edith. And in 964, I believe it was, they pledged fealty to the then king of Cordoba, Emir of Cordoba, from the Cordoban Emirate, to establish themselves again. And they pledged fealty back to the Moorish Empire and agreed to establish a new version of that in Europa for Europeans called the Holy Roman Empire. And this Holy Roman Empire was peopled by a core group of dark black knights that they referred to as the Wappenheim. The Wappenheim was mistranslated in the New European dialect as the Pappenheim. Right? And these Pappenheims are all of the dark-skinned night niggas that you see all around Germany and all of that.
Yeah.
Well, all of them, in order for them to be crowned, they have to stand under what's called the Golden Bull. And when you look at the Golden Bull, it's a crest with four corners on it with four Moorish heads. on it. So these conquistadors that they talking about that came over here with Cortez and Hernando and these people was dirty Moors. If we was to see them today, they would be the equivalent of gang members who started out fighting against the man, but eventually came to the man and then had to now come here and take over and fight against their own people because now they had converted in order to keep the way of life that they was functioning with. Brother, so what's the difference?
Brother, you dropping so many jewels, and I know my listeners is gonna love it. But we definitely gonna do this again.
Yeah,
right now.
Definitely.
Right now, just let them know where they can find you.
Thank you, bro.
Let them know everything. Where to link up with you.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on the
welcome,
platform.
Good brother.
Because I've been seeing what's been happening with the community, and it's really sad. But at the same time, I've been telling people about it for over 20 years. If you go back and check,
and you have, and I could vouch for that.
Thank you, Moore.
I've been listening to you for a while. I've been talking to you on Facebook for some years now.
Periodically. Yeah, because again, you're doing the work, man. You're providing a clear platform for our people to discuss things, and where we're not berating one another, where we're not disrespecting one another, where you can have a difference of opinion and it not turn into you trying now gotta dig in and find this nigga's criminal history records. And I've been watching stuff recently, man. It's like I'm like when I was talking about the stuff, me and Salim was talking about the stuff back in Super Heavy Radio days. If you go back and listen to some shows, because that's when it was happening to us. That's when we was being attacked. We was being blackballed. Like we got poisoned. We lost a baby behind the same water and shit that these people is talking about today. That was being sold in the community by different people.
That bad kidney water?
Yeah, they got us with that shit too, man. We lost a baby behind that. And the niggas that gave us the water at the time, I was cool with these dudes, doing lectures with them and all of that. You dig what I'm saying?
You ain't even gotta say no names. I know the names.
You already know, guys. So
I already know.
In that, they was literally doing shit to not only blackball us, but like get us up out of here. It felt like that. Yeah. And so to protect my family and all of that, we did as much as we could, but it intensified after I torpedoed this Africa Bambaataa lecture when he was trying to link the Zulu Nation up with the Moors. So I got up in the middle of the lecture and let everybody know, like, this is not going to happen. And then after that, they buried that tape. And then after that, that's when the Ronald Savage shit, a couple of years, maybe 2-3 years after that, that's when the Ronald Savage shit started. You know what I'm saying? So I've been low-key, like, skirting a lot of situations, you know what I'm saying, over the years by listening to my intuition. Like, I was on Duke couch. And then maybe by the second video, I was like, nah, I'm never going to be able to work with this thing again. And then years later, finding out this dude was the police, see what I'm saying? It's like, wow. Then, like I said, then I'm thinking, okay, cool. I'm going to do this shit with my god brother, you know what I'm saying? Then, boom, next thing I know, this nigga joined the army. You see what I'm saying? So this is the type of stuff that be happening. And then people associate you with who you around. So then I'll be like, yo, I can't be on TV with none of these things. Like, I got to really maintain
you
my
gotta build your own thing.
Because if I don't, they're going to try to loop me into that. There's a guy who set up a whole organization, came out here to recruit me for it, told him no, years, maybe 2 months later, find out this nigga's a whole FBI agent who done set up mega churches for stings and shit. And now I'm seeing people that he with is like endorsing him, and now they with that. Then he using my picture because he came down here with it, took a picture, and it was trying to use the picture like I'm endorsing him. So this is what I'm trying to say. All this agent type shit, this is not what I got into this for. It's not what we got into this for. But in order to preserve what you're doing, if you're not a Freemason, if you are not a part of the syndicate, if you're not into the homo humiliation rituals, if you have a steady relationship with a female that look like you, you're a threat. And I didn't know that. You see what I'm saying? until this era now, I'm really seeing it. Like, wow, they are really the lower self traveling to and fro, seeking who they can devour.
And that's it. That's a fact, brother. That's a fact.
You know, so again, man, preserve. If I could say anything to the people, preserve and listen to your intuition, man. Don't let niggas make you feel that because they read more books than you, that they have more wisdom than you. And that's not really true, man. Wisdom is the reflection of your knowledge, and the manifestation of that is your understanding, which then adds to your culture, which gives you the power to be on a level of equality, to build to the level of God, to destroy that which is outside, so that way you can be born to your highest level of excellence. Because it's about you reaching your level of excellence, not mine, not this one's, not this one on YouTube. Because these niggas just started, these niggas only been conscious for like a little less than a biscuit. You know what I'm saying? What you need to eat, what you need to read, what you need to do. Like,
and
you'll never
hold on for a second, brother. I gotta say this. And maybe I'm wrong, but the people that's just becoming conscious, they didn't go through the same channels we went through.
No, they don't exist no more.
You
Those
know, like,
channels don't even exist no more.
Like I said, like if we came through the nation, gods and earth, so it's universals, it's all of this where you have to be on point, it's no reading in books, it's things you have to memorize everything. Like I see brothers that just got in nation, gods and earth, and they got their 1 to 40s and all that, and I'm like, how? You didn't even build. You didn't even build into this.
Get this pen? You know what I'm saying? You know what I had to do. You know how much shit
that's what I'm saying. They not going through like a rites of passage. They just looking on YouTube. They looking on YouTube, and then they coming out and they spitting these poison lessons. That's
you know why no more? You know why no more? Because I told you, everybody was miseducated after everything was reorganized in 38. After 1930, after 1928, the Prophet, for instance, he nationalized the people. So that means that they didn't have to go outside to no temples no more. They could take their charter, put it in their house, and now their house was their temple. So now once everybody's houses became their temples, the temple, the Moorish Science Temple of America, exploded now. Because it wasn't just about the one little building that was in the community. You had a bunch of temples, which were houses in everybody's crib. So then what happened was they set it up that way because then they knew that when the temples reopened in 38, that anybody that was down with that was probably with the BS that was set up by the traders. The fake temple now that was 501c3 and all this other shit.
Yeah.
And from that point of the Great Schism, nothing came to bring everybody back together. So the schism people, it just kept going that way. So the people after 38 that thought that how they was taught was the right way, that's what they doing to this day. The people who decided they was going to resurrect it and do it how they think they should do it based on what happened, they still doing that today. The people who stayed true and did what they need to do and barely just died, bless the dead.
Yeah.
They stayed on their own way, and none of them came back together. But then you had Moors within that say, you know what? I'm going to become a Freemason. I'm going to become a this. I'm going to become a that too. So now you got Moors thinking that there could be a Moor, I could be a Freemason, I could be a Chemite, I could be a Satanist, I could be a this, I could be a that, I could be all of this. No.
Yeah.
You can be all of that, but you're going to be a jack of all trades and a master of none.
None.
Whereas if you were to just follow through on the main course, like Moorish science allowed me to see the through line of our culture in all of its different epochs. So I don't have to, so I could look at an Etruscan and say that's a Moor. I could look at an Almec and say that's a Moor. I don't have to get into the individual ideologies, nation structures, because I'm looking at the global impact of the people and the fact that they had a consistent system and a consistent building pattern and consistent ways of doing things, regardless to whether they was in America, whether they was in Africa, whether it was in Europe, whether they was in Asia. So that means I'm dealing with the same people whose expression is different. The same way I'm here in Florida, but I was originally from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But Brooklyn, I'm bringing my Brooklyn swag to Florida, but I'm not trying to take over. I'm not trying to make Florida Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm experiencing it as it is because as Moors, we make the geographic location relative to us instead of us becoming relative to it. So the vibration gonna change when I walk in, but I'm not gonna change it to such a degree that I'm gonna make it about me because I know it's already about me because I'm always the only Moor when I go into a cipher. You see what I'm saying? Just like you're usually the only Moor when you go into a cipher. Because unfortunately, we're all spread out.
Man.
Unfortunately, we're dealing with a lot of dirty Moors who are descended from the conquistadors, who don't even know it, who are now waking up to it in this life, you see, and don't realize, and now are realizing, damn, I'm a dirty Moor. But I don't want to do that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I am. So let me be with other dirty ones so we can act like we not. You see what I'm saying? So we can keep doing what we doing. So we're the antithesis of that. And we got to keep that up. So
for real more, we definitely got to do a part 2.
Thanks for having me on, bro.
Right after this joint, we got to do a part 2 with.
Yeah, man, let's do it. I'm with it, man.
Where we drop more and more. But let them know everything where they can find you at, where they can get everything involved with you.
Definitely, you can hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com for any consultations, building, whatever. You could also check out some of my older work on www.aseerthedukeoftiers.com. You could also check me out on www.gumroad.com, GUMROAD.com. Type in Aseer the Duke of Tiers in the chat. And a lot of the classes, newer stuff that will come up. You can check me out on YouTube, as well as Facebook under Aseer Ali Cordova. What else? So check out www.cordovaorganics.com. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, you can check me out through those portals. You can definitely hit me up there. And again, if you have any questions, please let me know. And yeah, man, if I could just say anything, preserve yourself, preserve your family. If they're not talking about nationality, birthright, inheritance, divinity, then they probably are in it. You know what I'm saying? If they're only talking to you about the national side, but they're leaving the divine out, if they're only talking about the divine side and they're leaving the national out, that means they're only doing half the work. So you want to be able to be as complete as you can. And the only way you can do that is understanding yourself, reaching your level of excellence, and following that. And then if we can all coalesce along the way to make it happen, then we do that. It's like Lord of the Rings. The good guys only come together to put the bad guys in check. The bad guys, though, are consistently working because they're organized. Evil is organized. That's why it works. However, good is eternal. So we only really need to come together to check it. So it goes back down and then we go back to our lives. So when it comes to us trying to create a nation where we all just going to be free and all of that, I don't believe that's going to happen. What I believe is going to happen is it starts with our families.
Yeah.
Free yourself, free your family, establish an estate, establish a trust for them, establish a national identity, a national character, and a divine way of looking at that. And then linking up with other members that's doing that. And then we can practice group economics. And then we can start to build something from that. And then before you know it, we back where we need to be because we never left.
Yeah, definitely.
We are in the empire. We are in Atlantis. We are in Morocco. We are in Egypt. We are in Africa. We are in everywhere that they say that we're not, we are, because it's all here first. And then they made it that after 1900. So again, stop thinking any Caucasian people ruled over you and put you in mass chains and bondage and all that. Didn't happen like that yet. We fell to people that look like us. That's why we so hostile to one another, because deep down, we still know this, but we don't know who's who. So we always on guard with whoever it is. When it comes to the white man, though, he was always the slave and we would use to come clean shit up. That's why we also quick to go to him and put him in positions to mediate between me and you. Because in the end, that's what we always use him for, because he was never the problem. He's not even a problem now. The problem now is the people that look like us, because we are the ones that's at war with one another. And that's the only war that really matters. Because if we end that war, guess what? All the other ones is out of here. Because nobody can stand up to us when we're on a good day. You know
when we together.
That's what I'm saying, more. That's what I'm saying.
Nobody can be
a really empire, when we really get imperial, it's a wrap. Nobody can do it.
Yo, I can't wait for the part 2, Mo.
Yeah, Mo, do it, man.
Y'all know where y'all heard this first? New Wabu Order podcast. You could go to Anchor / New Wabu Order. You can go on YouTube, New Wabu Order. That's New Wabu Order, WABU. Let's grow.
Yeah, man.
And I appreciate you,
man. And like I said, not to cut your wisdom more, I just wanted to say again, man, regards to what sect, whatever you into, all of these sects had something wrong with them. You know what I'm saying? All these sects had dirty Moors and dirty people involved with them that put a black eye on the movement, man. I don't give a damn what it is, whether it's the Moors, the Christians, the Wapians, the Nation Gods of Earth, the Nation of Islam, the Ahmadiyya, whoever it is. If there's been melanated, there's been somebody in it that was foul. And it doesn't change, though, the root of the people that weren't foul, that were real. Thank you, Mo. That weren't real, that were really about it. Those are the core people that we have to reach and have to support. And you cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater just because this person might have been evil or whatever. Get rid of them and keep the core value, you see what I'm saying, of what attracted you in the beginning, because it wasn't negativity. It was something positive that we all saw within these different spiritual systems that initially attracted us. And then we either evolved or ascended based on our intent, what was in our heart. So let's keep it real, and let's not make it seem like we all was just born with this knowledge, when we all was born pagan, when we all had to come into it, when we all had to reach a certain level of understanding to get to a point to be able to accept everybody's individuality and difference, so we can collectively come together, man. If you look at that picture, Noble Joe Ali in front of the thing, you have all them Moors together. But they all wasn't dressed the same. They all had different clothes on, but collectively you could tell those are the Moors. So it's the same thing with us, regardless to whether I'm a Moor, or he's a God, or he's an Ansar, or he's a Wapu, or he's a Muslim. When the cracker seals all together, what he say? Look at them niggas over here.
Yeah.
We gonna end what you got on. So
we gonna end on that note, though, Mo. We're gonna get you right. We're gonna get you right. Come back on the show real soon. We're gonna do a part 2.
Islam, let's do it.
All right. Y'all know where y'all heard this from. Let's grow. New Wabu Order.
Indeed, let's grow, man.
You are now tuned into the Order.